Most people have dreams. But most dreams stay exactly where they started, inside the mind. Because a dream without a deadline is emotionally comforting and practically invisible. It feels good to imagine, but it doesn't force change. That's why this sentence punches through fantasy and turns it into structure. A goal is a dream with a deadline. A deadline doesn't just add a date, it adds urgency, it adds accountability, it adds consequences. And the moment consequences enter the picture, your character shows up. Because now you have to decide, do I want this badly enough to organize my life around it? Tonight, we'll break this down into a real motivational framework. How deadlines turn desire into direction. How goals reduce anxiety by creating clarity, and how you become the kind of person who finishes without burning out. A dream is something you want. A goal is something you chose. Dreams are emotional. Goals are operational. A dream says, someday. A goal says, by this date. And that one change, a date, creates a psychological shift. You stop being a spectator of your future. And you become a builder. Because goals force trade-offs. If a dream is free, you can keep it forever without paying. But a goal costs you something. Time, attention, ego, comfort, distractions. That's why most people stay in dreaming. Dreaming has no invoice. Goals do. But here's the motivational truth. The cost is not punishment. The cost is proof. You don't become extraordinary by wanting more. You become extraordinary by committing more. The deadline does three critical things. 1, it creates a finish line. Your brain performs better when it can see the end point. 2, it creates urgency, not panic urgency. Focused urgency, the kind that makes you stop negotiating with distractions. 3, it creates identity pressure. When the date is real, you are forced to ask, am I the kind of person who keeps my word? That's why a deadline doesn't just manage time. It manages self-respect. Without a deadline, your dream stays emotionally safe. With a deadline, your dream becomes a mirror. And mirrors are uncomfortable, but they are also how you grow. People don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they live without definition. A vague dream creates vague effort. Vague effort creates vague results. And vague results destroy motivation. A deadline forces definition. What exactly am I building? What does done look like? What must happen this week for the date to stay true? This is why goal setting is not just planning. It's emotional regulation. Clarity reduces anxiety, because anxiety is often the fear of the unknown. When you define your goal and deadline, you reduce unknowns. You stop asking, will my life change? And start asking, what do I do next? That question is power. Here's a deeper layer. The deadline is a tool, but the real force behind it is your standard. Some people set deadlines and still procrastinate. Why? Because they don't believe their own standards matter. If your standard is, I do what I said I would do, a deadline becomes fuel. If your standard is, I'll try if I feel like it, a deadline becomes decoration. So motivation isn't the first problem. Standards are. And standards come from identity. Who do you believe you are? When you upgrade identity, deadlines become natural because you stop using time as an excuse and start using time as a container. In the US, dreaming big is celebrated, but dreaming big without structure creates a cultural addiction, inspiration without execution. You watch someone succeed, you feel the rush, you promise yourself you'll change. And then Monday comes, and nothing is scheduled. A deadline is what converts inspiration into a calendar, because calendars don't care about mood. This is why the quote is so powerful in American culture. It respects ambition, but it demands discipline. Dreams are cheap. Deadlines are expensive. But expensive is what creates results. Some people avoid deadlines because they fear failure. They think, if I set a date, I might not hit it. But the real danger is worse. No date means no movement. Deadlines are not about being perfect. They are about producing momentum. Momentum creates feedback. Feedback creates adjustment. Adjustment creates improvement. Without momentum, you live in theory. With momentum, you live in reality. And reality, messy, imperfect reality, is where success is built. A deadline forces you to face two fears: the fear of not being ready and the fear of being seen trying. Extraordinary people are not fearless. They just decide that the fear doesn't get to vote. They ship, they show up, they learn in public. Because courage is not a feeling. Courage is a schedule you honor. A dream is beautiful, but a goal changes your life. So take the quote as a challenge. A goal is a dream with a deadline. Put a date on what matters, not to pressure yourself into misery, but to rescue yourself from endless someday. Because someday is where your potential goes to die quietly. Deadlines don't limit your freedom. They protect your future. And the moment you choose a deadline, you stop wishing. You start building.